Vaselisa. Here she is. Vaselisa had seen many things in her little life. Sometimes it's true that the smaller you are, the less you are noticed, and the more that you can get on with what you need to get on with. Little Vaselisa had had a quiet life, reading books, learning about the world. And then she went down a hole with all her books on her back. She wanted an adventure. Little did she know that she ended up under the tower of one of the minarets of Moscow. Whether she was a Russian mouse or not, I don't really know, nor does it really matter too much, because where she ended up was an apartment, unassuming, so she wasn't too scared to enter. She went in there, did little Vasilisa, and wandered around. It was a very tidy place. A little while later, after she'd settled in, she heard the door open. In came a little squat man in a uniform which he took off. He put on some casual clothes and sat down, and then he began to weep. So loudly he wept that she came out of her hiding place, did little Vasilisa. She climbed up onto the chair that he was sitting in. She got closer, her little whiskers twitched, for she knew so many things. All the books she'd ever read had told her that when men cry, it's really important to help them. So she went over to him, really close then, climbed on his shoulder. Still he didn't notice. She got closer till she could see his ear, and then she whispered something. He looked up, he looked around, and then he saw her and said something. Yes, she said, it's true. I'm sorry. I broke in. I didn't know I was coming in here. I didn't know that someone lived here. It just seemed unusual. He asked her a few questions. She answered them truthfully. No, she didn't have a family. No, she wasn't a spy. In fact, she was rather lonely, but she loved life, and she'd been reading for years. She then went and got all her books of wisdom. My, he said, they are very heavy. She told him something he didn't know, that the more wisdom there is in a book, the heavier it is. And so it went on, and after about a couple of hours, they both realized that they liked one another, that though he was who he was, the general of the Russian armies, and though she was who she was, a little mouse, still they had something in common. Neither had a family, neither perhaps needed a family yet. Now that they knew one another, they knew something they had not known before, that they needed one another. This would be a good thing. So it was that little Vasilisa stayed with the general. First as a little mouse, and then as his, what we might call, a stepdaughter. A mouse, you might say. How can a mouse be a stepdaughter? Well, maybe he decided that he liked her so much, that he trusted her so much, that he wanted her to be part of his family. So the weeks turned into months, and the month into a year, and in that time they learned so much about one another. And one of the things that he learned about her was she was very, very good at chess. And what she didn't know, he taught her. And then he got out one of his war games. This is where I practice. Always have to keep ahead of the rest of the generals. They're always wanting to take my place, he said to her one day. Yes, she said, I understand that. It's like that in my world too. Well, he said, let me teach you what I know, and then you can teach me what you know about battles. Plenty of those in the mouse world, she said. I try and keep away from them. In what people are like, mice are the same. It wasn't long, perhaps a year, before he began to realize that Vaselisa not only was good at strategies in war, she was also better than him. Nearly all their battles ended on the table with her winning. Well, he said. So he had a little uniform made for her, a little Vaselisa hat made for her. And eventually, the general of the Russian armies introduced his little friend, his stepdaughter Vasilisa, to the rest of the generals. Because he was the general of them all, they didn't dare say anything. Whatever they thought, I'll leave up to you. But little Vasilisa became a familiar of the general of the Russian armies. She would always be there in the real battlefield. And when one or two of the generals questioned the wisdom of the general, he looked at them and said, tell me, my friends, do you think you could outwit her on the battlefield? You've seen what she can do, what she suggests. You've seen how the men listen to her because she is wise, and she carries all that wisdom in those books that she carries around with her sometimes. This kept the other generals quiet, but secretly they talked to one another. What would it look like if the world knew that the Russian army was being run by a mouse? Something had to be done. So it was that one dark night, poison was put in his food. Someone broke into his flat while he was out walking with Vaselisa, and poison was put in his food. That night, as they sat together eating, Vaselisa looked at him and asked him what was wrong. He knew at once. He knew that taste from years before when he had given it to someone else against everything he believed in. He told her he'd been poisoned and she must escape. What do you mean? She wouldn't leave. Hours went by. I'm going to die, he said. There's nothing you can do. I know the generals have done this. You have to leave. You have to make your escape because they will kill you, just like they're trying to kill me now. Gather up your things, take your books and leave. Don't waste any time on me. I want to stay here. You can't. So it was that she left the flat, having said goodbye to him. Little Vaselisa fled from Moscow, went down through the streets and eventually came to an old tree on a hill, which is where she is now. She had all her books. She had all the wisdom and all the belongings that he had given to her, and everything. All the knowledge was in her head. And she looked around and she looked down into the tree, and then she looked at the minarets in the distance. By now he would be dead. And the one person she loved in the world would not be here anymore. She didn't need to stay in Moscow. She just wanted to escape. So Vaselisa went into the tree. She found a ledge and went to sleep. And in the middle of the night, she began to roll around. And she fell off that ledge, and she fell, and she fell, and she fell, and she fell through the darkness until she saw some light, and she landed, bumping her head and falling over and standing up. And she realized there was a door. She went over to the tiny little door and opened it up, and there the light beamed in. And she saw a different world. It wasn't Moscow anymore. It was somewhere else. It was elsewhere.